Let's bring in our friend Kari Thompson. How are you, Kari?
What's up?
Kari.
What's up?
What's going on, Peter? Gabe?
What's
What's
going on?
happening, man?
What's going on, man?
Man, nothing much. We had the sports awards last night, so we gave out some awards.
Did you win anything?
Nope.
Oh, come
First
on,
team all
Kari.
Memphis
Ah.
Were you
First
up
team
for
all
anything?
Memphis, baby. But here's my victory. I haven't had too many complaints. That's my victory.
Okay.
Not
All right.
many angry
Too many.
parents calling me. You know, there's always going to be some, but
Say there
you
needs
know, people cool.
there's
Don't
a-
let me jinx it.
there's a definition of too many complaints. So you've had complaints, but just not too many.
Right.
You're always
Right.
gonna have complaints. That's just the nature of preps is that parents are not happy with some sort of coverage. It's either you're not enough or too much or something else going on or whatever. There's always something. So I remember that very well. So you just have to kind of Gabe,
I would never complain.
Gabe, you'll hear that soon enough when you know.
Oh,
No,
Gabe,
I hear
you're gonna
complaints.
change,
I
bro.
hear complaints.
yeah.
I hear
Dave,
complaints.
when you have kids, bro, you're gonna change, man. You're gonna be like my Gabe Jr. should have been lineman of the year.
Well, hey, Gabe Jr. will be lineman of the year. How about that?
Oh,
How about
There-
that?
oh!
Hey, calling it out right now
Oh!
on
Let's
this
go.
19th day of June, 2020.
Is it going to be Gabe Kuhn the second or Gabe Kuhn Jr. or what are we going to do here?
Okay, hold up. No, I'm not a. See, I did just speak wrong. I'm not going to have a junior. It'll be a different name.
Oh, all right.
It'll be a different
I
name.
mean, it's fine. No one's knocking it.
I respect that. Every man needs his own name.
That's
Yeah.
that's fine. Lincoln Perry won the football award. I guess no real surprise there. Although there was some pretty stiff competition, but a spectacular year for the young man from Houston.
Yeah, man. No doubt. Looking forward to seeing him at the next level, you know, because Arkansas State got all those games set up with Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Liberty Ball.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we haven't seen the last of Lincoln Perry either.
A little local little rivalry. Love to see the kids coming back to Memphis to see. And I think he was a kid that was somewhat controversial, Kari, in the recruitment process and all that stuff. But I don't know, man. You watch him play. The kid can just play. I'm not the size stuff or whatever, man. That kid is just good, man. I don't know. I feel like sometimes we get too hung up on all that, and this kid's a player.
I mean, when you say size, I mean, people are talking about he's short. That's really what it is. But does that matter for a running back? Like, you know, we live in a time where we got, you know, the Aaron Sproles of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be a short running back, no question.
And he's strong. That's another thing
Yeah.
that needs to be taken into consideration. Been working with Coach Shabazz for forever. So that's something that
Exactly.
needs to be completely taken into consideration when you look at his perceived size. I mean, there's a lot of running backs that have been ultra productive at 5'8", 5'9".
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think it can be an advantage. I mean, you can be hard to find. You can slide in a little bit through some of the cracks and all that stuff. I mean,
the crevices, cracks, and
the
crevices.
crevices and the cracks, yeah, the nooks and the crannies. Absolutely. What's the speaking of football stuff? Gabe and I were talking about this during the break, but like the summer, Kari, what is the protocol situation right now around the area? What's the plan as we know it? Because there are still obviously limitations on things that you can do in the way that these teams are able to get together for their summers.
Well, it's been, it's just questions of, when we're going to get fully back at it, because the private schools are back practicing.
Yeah.
The public schools are back practicing. And as you know, this is the last week before the dead period, so we're about to have 2 weeks of nobody practicing. Shelby County Schools has still not
Yep.
articulated what the plan is for them at all for public schools. Like, has said nothing. I mean, they said we have a task force and we're working on it, but I don't know.
Love
what
a good
the
task
Do you have any
force.
idea
Love a good task
what
force.
phase it will take for the Shelby County schools to get back to it? Or is there just absolutely nothing at this point?
Gabe, literally, I emailed them. I emailed media relations. I was like, so, when can we expect a plan? We've got public schools practicing. We've got private schools practicing. We have Houston literally practicing while Germantown can't practice, even though they're in the same city. So I was like, so what's the plan, guys? They literally, one sentence emailed me back and go, we're working on it.
Well, that's the definition of no plan, yes. Well,
I love a good task force. That's all. Anytime we can get a task force and some emails and get nothing done, that's exciting. That's always fantastic. So, congratulations, kudos to tip the cap. Now former Briarcrest player Kennedy Chandler taking home the award last night for boys basketball, and we'll kind of see what happens from there. Was there much debate over that one?
Yeah. I mean, that top three is very strong. I think in like just about any other market, Jonathan Lawson or Musa Cisse could be your player of the year. Like pretty much like anywhere else in the country. So it was tough for that top three. But I think if you just look at the body of work that Kennedy has put this year between Peach Jam and what he did and blowing up and like literally going from a 0-star to a 5-star. What he did with Briarcrest, taking them to the state title game, was one missed shot at the end from winning a second straight title, getting that second straight Mr. Basketball, playing all the top competition and excelling. I think, and just when you look at the totality of his ranking and who's recruiting him, and the fact that the G League wants him. Coach K is after him. I mean, it's like I just don't see a resume in Memphis high school sports this year, not just basketball, Memphis high school sports, because these are boys' athletes of the year, that stacks up to what he's doing, other than maybe Rachel Heck. Rachel Heck's resume can stack up with what Kennedy. But other than that, on the boys' side, Kennedy kind of is in his own class at this point. And that's impressive because he's a junior.
Well, and now he's in a different school. So
yeah,
Sunrise Christian.
So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it while you could. He also won Boys Athlete of the Year. Overall, Girls Athlete of the Year went to Rachel Heck, as you just mentioned, from St. Agnes. But how could it not? She is a spectacular golfer and the LPGA qualifying and U.S. Women's Open. All that. So I mean, my goodness, she's unbelievable. How good she could end up being. And then you
bro.
Yeah, I mean she's a bro for crying out loud. She was competing in France and all that. It's unreal. If you've never seen her or you never watched her, she's totally different level than everybody else. You mentioned his name. Where are we at on Musa? Your buddy.
I
know you guys are talking a lot. I know you guys are chatting a lot. I know he's definitely talking a lot.
Actually, I saw Musa not too long ago. Actually,
hey,
yeah.
Did you come up to him and did you give him come on? Did you guys have it out a little bit?
Nah, man, I dapped him up. It's all love, man. I was like, "What up, Musa?" I was like, "It's good to see you." He seemed happy to see me.
Were you at the? Was this at the over at the East, the John Morant and all that stuff? The
yeah, that's actually where I saw him. It's funny because I saw him as he came in. He was a couple minutes late, so he came in the middle of the scrimmage. I was like, "What up, Musa?"
Did he look surprised to see you?
He was like sitting down, putting on his shoes, trying to get ready. So I didn't bother him too much with recruiting questions, but caught up with him.
He didn't look surprised at all to see you.
Oh man!
No, man. No.
Okay.
I'm a regular on the scene, Gabe. Man.
No, I know that. I'm not. I get that.
But nah, I mean, Javante opened it up to the media. So I was there. Drew Hill was there. Kathy Carlson was there. And those hoop sessions are like incredible, and they do them like weekly. So can't give out the secret location, but I can say that it is awesome.
Oh, it was it was at Kari's house, is my understanding.
It's impressive.
Court. Yeah, my apartment downtown. There we go.
I'm very impressed with the court.
It's very nice. So John Morant's still doing okay? Seems like he's all right.
Oh yeah. Jaws doing Jaws. I mean, even at 70%, like just jogging, man. I mean, just it's incredible. It's insane. We're also coming up on the 1 year anniversary of Ja being drafted to Memphis.
Yes, and
Evan Barnes.
What date are we looking at?
I believe it's Saturday.
Yeah, it was 21st or 20th or 21st. Yeah, so I remember last year. It was pretty extraordinary, and he's obviously exceeded the high expectations that people had for him. He's exceeded those expectations. Back to Musa for a second, and I know you didn't get a chance to chat with him to any length. Is it fair to interpret the increasing delay of his announcement as good news for Memphis? The longer it goes, the better it is for Memphis.
100%. That's what I think. That's what I've been saying. It was weird. There was a point where, like, a couple of weeks ago, all the experts decided, oh, it's LSU.
Right.
Like, I think one of them, I think it was Corey Evans that had been saying LSU from the jump, but the rest of them, like the Evan Daniels and everybody, were like, it's LSU, and they all filed their picks in 1 week. So, in these recruiting situations, it's like if you know you're going to make a decision, why are you going to sit on it, right? Like, is that, Gabe? You've gone through the recruiting process, right?
Not quite his recruiting process. I'll tell you that. Not quite to that extent, but yes, I have.
But so you can validate this. If you know where you're going to go, why would you put it off?
Yeah, absolutely,
absolutely. Is it a good thing for the leader if you're putting it off?
No.
Okay.
Well, I guess there's certain situations where guys want to do it very, very publicly and have a video made and, have graphics made and stuff like that. But with his, I am not sold that he's actually in a position where he knows yet. I think he's still sort of I think he's absolutely contemplating at this moment.
Yo, because he's choosing between like two schools that are about to get investigated.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's the unfortunate way to look at it, but yes, that is true.
There's a lot of thought that's going to come into it. Like
Peter, this is real sports talk, man. Real sports talk.
I mean, we're keeping it real. You're exactly right about that. I mean, which level of allegations do you want? Do you want the traditional style, or do you want the new whatever that
the Adidas, Nike, FBI stuff?
Yeah, or do you want the new what's the
AARP?
Not AARP. The AARP is not involved.
Hold up.
the old folks
Change
are not
that
retired.
First A to an I, and I think you got what you're looking for.
Yeah, the AARP, man. Wilford Brimley is heavily noted to be illegally. Yes, the IARP. Do you want that style or do you want the traditional style? That's really your choice at this point. For
right.
Musa.
It's like hot wings with honey gold, man.
It's a little more. It's a little spicier in Memphis with that new thing with there's no appeal process. It's a little spicier now. So if you want it hot, if you like that thing hot like nuclear style, then I think you got to come to Memphis right here. I don't know, man. I don't know. So your gut's telling you Memphis, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's been telling me Memphis all along, but you know me. I'm not an insider. I'm not Jonathan Gavoni. You feel me? I'm not
Kari Express, though. We got to get Kari Express out there.
All aboard the Kari Express.
Yeah, you got to get your own YouTube channel in addition to all the other stuff out there. You got to do it, man.
I'd follow that account.
Yeah, let's go.
Working on it.
Let's go. I'm just saying, Kari Express telling you.
I'm just saying.
Oh my
goodness. I'm just saying sports. Whoa.
I'm just saying sports.
I'm just saying, Musa, my crystal ball says Memphis. What? I'm just saying. Boom.
I'm just saying. Just composite.
Now, on the football side, we were just talking about this. Memphis and the new indoor practice facility, the recruiting. I mean, bringing in some 3-star kids, 4-star kid. I mean, like we're talking next level stuff. Ryan Silverfield not only not missing a beat, but just continuing to elevate the program. What's the word on the street from Kari Express on Memphis in the recruiting world?
Memphis is starting to get Memphis kids now too. They didn't get me before, but now they're starting. You see Brandon Warner at Ridgeway committing. You see Greg Rubin out of White Station committing. Last year it was just Devontae Nelson. So now we're starting to see not only you flipping the LSU kids, but you're starting to bring some of the local kids back. I think that's a good thing.
You think some of those bigger name local kids, the 4 stars and 5 stars of the world, maybe not 5 stars, but the 4 stars of the world, may give him and Silverfield and Memphis like a look at this point? Because that's going to be the big, I feel like, barometer of, when they finally reach that peak of their recruiting, is if they can keep some of those, tremendous talents from in the city.
Yeah, well, we'll see how the season plays out, Gabe. But as it's looking right now, just off of rankings perspective, because obviously we haven't seen any football in a while, there's not too many 4 stars around here.
Yeah.
In this class, it's a bit of a down year if you look at the rankings. So that gives Silverfield some time actually to put in work with the young studs because they'll be around a while, as long as they don't pull a Kennedy and go prep. Pull a Nolan.
It may happen. It may happen. So we anticipate. I mean, at this stage right now, everything is planning. I don't know is there any word on like school situation? Are we planning on the season starting as normal? Like you just going as if everything's going to be normal? There's been no word that anything would be different?
Sheesh, man, you gonna make me email the task force again, huh?
Well, you have such a good relationship with them. I want you to take advantage.
You're just gonna
of
get a one line answer again.
Yeah, I need you to keep building that beautiful relationship y'all have.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I'll get 2 sentences. That'll be
Hi, Kari. I hope this finds you well. We have nothing to report. Thank you.
Or just CC Peter in the email.
Yeah, please. Yeah, throw me in. Do a little BCC on the on there. That'd be.
All right, guys. Peter really wants to know this. Peter wants to know when we're going back.
I got kids in school, first of all, so I definitely need to know. Second of all, I'm just curious. That's the way this thing works. So please go ahead and let me know. That's all. Help me out, Kari. That's all I'm asking.
So we should not be standing by waiting for an announcement anytime soon on this.
Kari, when is your dumb sport of baseball going to figure this thing out? Are y'all going to play or not? I mean, this is
man,
stupid.
Don't even get me started. It's just such a mess, man. It's just such a mess. But listen, here's while I'm mad about the mess that baseball is in,
mm-hmm.
I'm low key psyched that the Red Sox drafted Blaze Jordan.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kid's phenomenal.
Yeah, man. So he's gonna be, if he signs, he's gonna be working his way up towards Fenway, man. So had to let the people back in Boston know what he was all about. Had to post some highlight clips and all that.
He's really good, man. That kid can crush it.
Did you actually watch the MLB draft though? That's the real question.
I monitored it
from far away.
I love watching drafts.
MLB.com.
I love watching drafts, but the MLB drafts, I'm sorry, man.
No.
Rob Manfred stepping up to the microphone was something I could not will myself to do.
No.
It's an experience, though, if you watch. It depends on who you're with and what the circumstance is. Because I watched the draft with Maurice Hampton last year, and that was pretty cool. Just seeing him go through the motion of am I going to go? Am I not going to go? That sort of thing. And to just watch it all unfold in real time. You realize these are 17-year-old kids making multi-million-dollar decisions. You know what I'm saying? In life-changing situations.
Well, if you're hanging out with one of them, sure, that's fine. No problem. You're hanging out with a player or something, cool. But otherwise, it's not. It's not. It's
if you're by yourself at home.
If you're by yourself, eating some wings and whatever, then.
And ranch.
How you feel about mayo, Kari?
Mayo?
Yeah.
Give me context. I mean, we're not eating mayo
on a sub sandwich. Do you like
just
it?
in general? Do you like mayo on?
Do you like it as a condiment?
Yeah, on whatever you want to put it on.
I'm not saying you have to eat it straight with a spoon.
God,
that's the one thing. We don't have to do that.
What is wrong with it?
Okay. I'm typically not a mayo guy, but in certain situation it works. On a steak and cheese, it can work.
Oh, okay.
Normal
sub sandwich? Any love there? Burger?
Burger, definitely not. No.
Oh, y'all are missing out.
Wait.
Peter
Gabe,
said he
is
doesn't
there
even
a
like
mayo on the
Alfredo. He
burger
doesn't like
now?
any white sauce.
I'm a sauce
No
racist.
white
I don't
condiment.
like white. I don't like white condiments.
Man, hold on. White cheddar sauce is amazing. You gotta.
Not
put
even he
respect
doesn't
on
even like chicken Alfredo, Corey.
No,
Like we
no
we have
Alfredo.
a long way to
Whoa.
go with Peter.
No,
like
no
it's
Alfredo.
it's sad.
Blasphemy.
Alfredo's more peach colored, but still,
What?
you know,
It's white. It's definitely white.
it's what yeah, it's like a white. It's whiter. It's kind of an off white. It's not like pure white. Depends on what you're doing, I guess, with it.
Put some respect on Alfredo's name, man. Like,
I'm
come
not
on.
gonna. No, I'm not gonna do that. I don't respect Alfredo. I don't respect.
Why?
I don't. I
It's
don't
disappointing,
respect
Corey. I really
tartar sauce. I don't respect ranch. I don't respect
the ranch
mayo.
thing throws
I don't
me off,
respect
man.
any
Ranch
of
is
that. I don't
fantastic.
respect any white sauces. I don't respect.
You don't respect blue cheese?
Nope, don't respect blue
Oh,
cheese.
see, that's where
Oh.
I'm gonna have to disagree. Yeah, I think you're outnumbered on this one, Corey. I can't do the blue cheese.
No, I have no respect for it.
So what do you eat with wings?
I just eat wings. What or possibly dip it in an additional hot sauce.
No
Hey.
sauce to cook it off?
No, because
Hey,
it's a
ask him-
hot wing. I like it hot. I like it
Ask
hot.
him what he puts on his salads.
Oh, he puts Frank's Red Hot.
Oh,
That's
so-
exactly
okay,
right.
he knew,
Yeah,
he
he
knew,
knows. He
okay.
knows.
that on everything.
Yeah, he
Okay.
put that on everything. It says it on
Okay.
the label. It says it on the label. Put that's a true story. You got to put that on everything. And it's not just the slogan. That's the real deal. You got to put that on everything. It's delicious. Listen, you gotta diversify. You got to get away from some of these sauces. We got to get out into the new. This is the new
I
paradigm.
think you need to
man.
open your mind a little
Oh.
bit.
There's a
Wait, Peter. So Peter, you gotta put me on some sauce game. You gotta give me 2 new sauces I need to try. Like when I'm in the
what kind of
or
sriracha are you doing some siracha here?
Oh, sriracha's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, sriracha's good stuff.
Okay, all right. Are we doing some hoisin?
No, what's poison?
Okay, all right. Well then we need to
What is
start.
it?
Hoisin's it's kind of a I use it mostly in Thai foods. Kind of in Thai.
Peter's toilets at home are that's they
What
they
do
get used.
What are you talking?
Quite
Hoisin is delicious, man. It's
They get
it's a
used
little
quite
thicker.
often.
It's a little
You said
thicker, a little
Thai food,
sweeter.
man.
It's kind of a
You brought up Thai food.
Thai food's great. Oh, Thai food's
It's good, but-
spectacular. It's spicy. You gotta know.
Yeah.
If you go, you want it spicy though.
You can overdo it, right?
Oh yeah, you got to be careful. Hoisin's like a teriyaki. It has a little sweetness, like a teriyaki maybe, but like it's a little sweeter. It's good. It's really good. Try it. Get some hoisin. You'll enjoy it. Like a ponzu or
Okay.
something like that maybe. Yeah, go for the Asian sauces like that. Delicious. What about teriyaki? Straight up teriyaki. You like
Oh.
teriyaki?
Yeah.
Okay.
Teriyaki's
All
good.
right. Okay. Then we're getting somewhere. All right. So that you start messing around with those sauces, and then we can start talking. Hummus. I can do hummus.
Hummus,
Is hummus sauce?
Hummus not really. Well, you can dip like bread into it.
carrots.
Carrots. It's kind of a semi sauce, I would say.
It's like a paste.
Yeah, it's not full on sauce, but you can dip it. So
Well,
I qualify. it
Be
in that-
careful with hummus because hummus is very. I mean, not everybody's gonna enjoy hummus.
Guacamole. Has a guacamole a sauce?
Another paste.
Guac is
to
like
me.
a snack. It's not a sauce.
But you put it on stuff.
Wow.
You don't eat just guac straight up. You got to put it on something. Therefore, it's a.
What do we call it? A
sauce.
paste. I think we should term that a paste.
It's an accompaniment. It's a condiment. Guacamole is a condiment, right?
Yeah, you can put it in like.
I put
Yeah.
I'll do a turkey sandwich. You could be talking about turkey sandwich with like mayo. People put mayo on the turkey sandwich. I put guac on the turkey sandwich. I do a
here's
guacamole
the-
hot sauce mix and put that. Oh, guacamole hot sauce is wonderful.
Here's the head scratcher though. Is applesauce a sauce?
What are you dipping into applesauce?
I eat applesauce,
Yeah, you just eat applesauce. What are you dipping into applesauce?
but they call it a
Nothing.
sauce.
But it's a
I think
sauce.
he's posing a decent question. It's not a sauce though. It isn't.
I mean,
It would not. I mean, I don't know what it would accompany.
it is.
Oh,
it is.
pork chops for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, you dip pork chops in applesauce for sure.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. You could do pork chops. Apple. It's a bad name. I agree. It's a little deceptive in the name, but we've grandfathered it in because it was called applesauce, and we're okay with it. It's not barbecue sauce. All that stuff's different. Barbecue sauce. There you go. Put something like that. Mix a little Frank's and a little Frank's and ketchup for a little hot ketchup. Frank's and barbecue sauce, a little hot barbecue. You can't go wrong with that. It's spectacular. Garlic, Cajun garlic hot that's my wing jam right there, buddy. Ugh,
You guys Whataburger fans?
love Whataburger.
So you like the
Nah,
hot ketchup?
Whataburger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the hot ketchup.
Hot ketchup, baby. Oh,
I would buy a bottle of that.
hot ketchup is.
They sell it.
I make my
They
own
sell
hot
it.
ketchup.
They sell
yeah.
it? You think I could find some on
Yeah.
Amazon?
Yeah. You make your own. Though.
You can go to
Make
Walmart
your-
and get.
Make your own hot ketchup.
Is
You
it
don't need
Walmart?
you don't
They
need
do
to-
not sell Whataburger products at Walmart around here.
Dude, no,
Dude,
just don't.
Dave, I bought it.
Really?
Yeah.
Just
You
make
swear
your
to me?
own. Why are you
They
guys?
also had that knockoff Chick-fil-A sauce too, like the Walmart brand. Stuff is
That's
good.
probably worth it.
Just make your own. It's so easy, man. Don't you have you can just get regular. No, make your own.
Ketchup
'Cause
and siracha, just mix it?
Yeah, you can make ketchup and sriracha is great. Ketchup and buffalo is great. You can go different directions to it. All three, if you want to, take a little different direction. Whatever. Throw some horseradish in there if you're feeling real, froggy. Whatever you feel like. Got it covered. Kari, I love talking to you, buddy. Have a great day.
See you, Kari.
See you guys.
All right, that's Kari Thompson joining us. He does every single Friday. We'll take a break. We'll come back and continue here. Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
Visit Frontier Western Store this Father's Day for the perfect gifts for Dad. From now until Father's Day, you'll save big on the classic Carhartt K87 short sleeve tee. Get 2 for $25. Frontier carries every color they make, including this year's brand new colors. All sizes are in stock and on sale, small to 4X. All Carhartt Force t-shirts are 25% off too. This hard-working cotton blend wicks away sweat, resists stains, and has a relaxed fit, giving Dad plenty of room to move. Save big on Force at 25% off. Also, all men's pants and jeans, $5 off. Wrangler, Carhartt, and Ariat. Every pair of khakis, jeans, dungarees, and even FR workwear, $5 off. All Carhartt shorts are 25% off too. While you're there, grab Dad some boots. You know he'd love a new pair. Frontier has thousands of boots in stock at amazing everyday low prices. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Hi, I'm Greg Gaston for Window Genie. Window Genie is a trusted name in window cleaning, but they do so much more. They can take care of your home or business. They clean interior and exterior windows with a streak-free guarantee. They clean gutters, do pressure washing and house washing. They can also clean and seal concrete, brick, and natural stone. Locally owned and operated, insured and bonded. Get your free estimate today and ask for the Sports 56 discount. Call 901-424-4100 and leave the dirty work to Window Genie.
There's a new commissary in town in Collierville. Germantown Commissary is doubling. Yeah, they're still going to have the old Germantown Commissary by the tracks, but now there's a huge new Germantown Commissary in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levy Road. It's huge, too. There's a drive-through. There's plenty of parking, no telephone pole to get in your way, a cool patio. It's right by the track, so the tradition continues. And this is a tradition that's been around forever. That commissary is famous for hickory-smoked, slow-cooked Memphis-style barbecue. They've got a private party room at the new one in Collierville. Self-catering still continues. Party packs for $5.95. Basically, the great ribs, the great pulled shoulder, the great deviled eggs. Everything is there in Collierville and Germantown now. So there is now a Germantown and Collierville style of barbecue. It's called Germantown Commissary.
Casper's the sleep company with outrageously comfortable products at not-so-outrageous prices. And now you can help Dad upgrade to the comfort of Casper with the Father's Day sale. Save 10% on any mattress order or get $25 off. All you have to do is spend $100 or more on gifts for Dad. This Casper Father's Day sale is going on through June 23rd. The offer excludes bundles, the Element mattress and sale items. Limit one offer per customer and order. See casper.com/terms.
Hey everybody, are we ready for some hot fun this summertime? Cause I'm out here in Olive Branch looking at all these new All-Star Chevy trucks. You've got more new Silverados out here than you'll find anywhere, and for a lot less. Some still have 0 interest for 84 months with GM financing or thousands in cash back for summer. If it's a new
Welcome in on this steamy Friday. It is Juneteenth Day. We've had COVID cases abound in the world of sports. The Toronto Blue Jays and Philadelphia Phillies have closed down spring training facilities. The Tampa Bay Rays have, or I should say Lightning, have closed down their NHL facilities after several players and staffers came up with COVID. Wild day. We've had statues of owners of the Minnesota Twins in Calvin Griffith and in the Washington Redskins, George Preston Marshall, all because of racial inequality. They've had their statues moved from ballparks in those respective cities of Minneapolis and Washington, D.C. So it has been you could say a monumental day in a lot of different ways. And it's this weird sports world we are in right now where the Belmont normally is the last race in the Triple Crown. It is the first. Normally it's 1.5 miles. It's much shorter this year. There is a field of 10, and we've got a huge favorite that is down in Tis the Law. And we go not to Louisville, as we normally do, somewhere, maybe on a beach in Florida, where it seems to be a hot spot of COVID, by the way, is our friend Paul Rogers. I hope you are social distancing. I hope you are being very careful, my friend.
Indeed, I am, and my wife has been. We just decided to come down to our place in New Smyrna Beach for the month of June, but we're not doing much other than hanging on the beach and cooking in the condominium, not going to restaurants, not doing the things you normally do, but just for a change of scenery. Came down here to relax and kick back a little, and I'm looking at the beach, but right now it's under pouring down rain. So
well, be careful, Paul. And we've said a bunch this week about this year in the Triple Crown world. Last year had the controversy at the Derby. This year, we know the 10 horses that go to the post tomorrow, they're the only 10 on earth that can win the Triple Crown this year.
Yeah, that's right, but it's just so weird. This would normally be the week after the Belmont Stakes, and we finished another Triple Crown, and now here we are just starting a Triple Crown, and there's still a lot of uncertainty. If a horse should, perchance, win the 3 races, there will always be an asterisk, if not officially, but certainly in the minds of everyone attached to him because of the
2 years in a row with asterisks.
Yeah, the change distance of the Belmont to me is a huge factor in this whole thing. And then, changing the order and changing the time between the challenge of the Triple Crown was running those 3 races, among the many challenges, was running those 3 races in only a 5-week span. Now you're going to run them in about a 4-month span. So it's just all over the map, but it's still a Grade 1 race for 3-year-olds and kind of a chance for racing fans to get back into the groove again, watching on TV or wherever, because they won't be at Belmont Park, as we all know.
We had a handicapper on yesterday. Dick Girardi's his name, from Philadelphia, and Bet.com. And I asked him, do you think, because this is now going to be 15 weeks and not the 5-week sprint real test for these young horses, some people think too much of a test, to really make it. Do you think we will see some absolute changes because of this when we resume the real schedule, hopefully next year?
No, I don't think so. Regardless of what happens in the series this year, I think it will go back to the way it was because it's such a unique series of races. We've talked about this every year, it seems, and for a while people were thinking it was impossible because of the arbitrary nature of it, the varying distances and the varying time between races. And then all of a sudden you had 2 Triple Crown winners in a very short span there, and Justify and American Pharoah proving that it can be done. So I think regardless what happens this year, hopefully by next year, things will be back to normal and the series will be back in its usual order.
I hope so. I really do. So we've got this great horse, obviously, and Tis the Law has won on this track not long ago, and is, well, it was 3-2 the last I looked at. I don't know if anything has changed on that yet, or that's the early morning wire. And we've only seen 3 winners that were the favorites in the last 15 years at Belmont, but this is all different. Is this horse hands down the best in the lot?
He's a legitimate favorite. There's some others you could take a look at, but he's earned the favorite's role. And actually, over the long term, favorites have been very effective at Belmont in the Belmont Stakes. I think 44% of the favorites actually won the Belmont Stakes, which is higher than favorites overall. It's roughly, I think, 30% in all of racing. So favorites have fared well in this race generally, and I think since you don't have that variable of the 1.5 mile distance at play here, everybody has a better handle on these horses, even though they are still relatively young. But he's only been beaten one time, and that was by less than a length in the Kentucky Jockey Club last fall, which was at Churchill Downs. He's come back and won twice here in the spring, both those races at Gulfstream, but his last race at Belmont Park was a win back in the fall. Got an interesting group of people around him, Barclay Tagg and Sakatoga Stable. That's the group that took Funny Side to the Derby and also the Preakness before being beaten in the Belmont Stakes in, what was that, 2003, I think. So it's that group again. So that's interesting to see him. And he's the most proven in terms of quality of competition and what he's accomplished. You always wonder, how far has a horse come along? Tappet to Win, for example, had two awful races at the end of last year, but then has bounced back this year and run very well. And now not against the highest class company, but he's run fast and he's won both of his starts this year. So you look at those races against the tougher competition from last year and say, well, he can't handle this, or do you say no? Now he's gotten himself together and he's improved as a 3-year-old. Those are the kind of questions you always ask.
Well, we were told Tappet to Win. It actually was sick last year. That was part of the reason for the tail off.
I had not realized that. But yeah, his last two races were at Keeneland and Churchill Downs in the fall and was well beaten in both those races, and then came back and won both his starts this year.
Paul, it's been challenging, even with two Triple Crown winners in the last few years, for the Triple Crown horse racing business. It has been. It's been moving in that direction for quite some time. And now Belmont going first, and the Kentucky Derby will go last, won't it?
Yep. Second.
Second. It'll
go
second
in September, and then the Preakness is going to go in October.
Can this sport withstand it?
Well, it can. I think really in some ways the sport has flourished this year because it is one sport that has continued. Even though fans aren't in the stands, they are able to watch and wager on it. And I know when Churchill opened up their first Saturday, I forget, it was in mid-May roughly, I forget the exact day, they had their handle was like 3 times what it was last year on the same day, because people were just starving for some thoroughbred racing action. And the racing has actually been pretty good, and in that sense, the sport is doing pretty well. Now, you're always going to be dealing with various issues, the health of the horse and so on. In fact, you've got 3 of if the Derby had been run when it usually normally would have, probably the 3 top contenders on the Derby are now not racing. They went out with various fairly minor, but still various injuries, Charlatan and Nadal and Maxfield. So you're still having a hard time keeping horses healthy, and I think that's going to be the long-term issue people are going to be looking at. That's another reason this Triple Crown is going to be so different from past Triple Crowns, is you're going to have horses who are participating in the Triple Crown races who weren't even around in the spring, and some horses who might have been the main Triple Crown races normally now aren't racing.
Wow, that's the first I had heard of that. So you're saying what could have been the top 3 favorite horses at Churchill Downs in what was it, May 5th, the first Saturday in May,
right,
are not even racing? That's
correct. They've been retired, or I'm not clear. I know 1 or 2 of them have been retired, and another one just has a mild injury and is not training right now.
Man, what?
So a tough one to handicap.
It's
yeah,
it is. It's crazy for the sport. We asked yesterday about Santa Anita and all those horses that basically passed away because the track was not right, I think, is what they ended up finding out. Now they've got it fixed, you hope. But you've lost a lot of athletic animals in the last year to racing, just freaky things.
Yeah, and they're still looking at the issue medications, what to use, how much to use, what to allow on race day. And while I mentioned, those 3 horses that now aren't racing, in terms of the timing, it's really not that unusual. I mean, quite often, some horses who raced in the Derby or parts of the Triple Crown aren't still racing in the fall of that year, and you've got late bloomers who come on the scene in the summer and fall. So it's sort of normal. It's just that now it's changed the series that people pay most attention to, and that's the Triple Crown.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Paul, I know we want to get some basketball talk in with you, but we want you to handicap it. But first I want to ask you, are you making plans for the first Saturday in May next year in Louisville for the Kentucky Derby?
I think things will be squared away by then. And I think they're going to run this year's Derby in September. I'm still not clear how many people are going to be there, if any, but I think they will run it because racing has done a pretty good job of coping with it and still running the races. The big issue for the Derby, obviously, is what kind of crowd can you have. But I'm hoping that by next spring that we'll have a vaccine, and that's the biggest key, as we all know. Once you get the vaccine, then you can return pretty much to normal, one would think. And I think we should have something in place by May of next year.
I sure hope so.
4 years, the fastest to the marketplace in vaccine history.
Well, I know it's.
But this is the Manhattan Project.
Exactly, and they're putting all kinds of time and effort and money into it, and seem to be making progress in that regard.
That's
from
right.
what we all hear. So I have hope that by early next year we'll be seeing a vaccine and see things really get going again.
All right, give us your handicap and give us your superfecta, but your win, place, and show, and then the 4th horse.
I'm going with Tiz the Law. I just think he's a stick out here. And another one I mentioned would be Tap It to Win. And then a bit of an outsider was my 3rd horse, Max Player. He's only raced 3 times, but his 3rd race was a win in the Withers, a grade 3 race back in February. And with just a field of 10, I'd actually only gone 3 deep. If I were to throw in a 4th, I think it would probably be Modernist. He's a Bill Mott horse who has been either 1st or 3rd in all 5 of his races. Most recently, 3rd in the Louisiana Derby.
What? I'm trying to see where Modernist is coming out of which hole.
He's number 4, 15 to 1.
15 to 1. Okay.
Yeah.
It is fun to listen because we've had a few people that have given us thoughts on this race, and there's only 10 horses, and I think
it's everywhere.
We've now had 7 or 8 different horses mentioned, so
could be a good ticket in there.
It could really be a good race for that reason.
I hope so.
Well, I think the 1 1/8 distance is a little bit easier race to handicap than the Belmont usually is because you don't have that huge unknown of the 1.5 miles, and you also don't have that issue of horses who have raced in 1 or 2, the Derby and Preakness joining, and then new horses joining in, and you kind of get this mixed bag of what's the competition like that they've gone against now, who's tired, who's fresh, all that. So you've got some of those sort of variable elements of most years not really playing as big a role in this Belmont Stakes.
I got to ask you this because I've said like 7 different horses have been mentioned. No one has mentioned Sole Volante, if that is the way you pronounce the horse's name.
Well, then there's your winner.
But that horse on the early morning line, that horse is the 2nd favorite, 9-2.
He's done very well this year, and that last race that he won, which is an optional claiming race, if you see it, it's a $100,000 optional claiming race, but it was a race at Gulfstream earlier this month that had 3 top contenders in it. I'm not sure exactly how this came about. It was, while it doesn't look that great, it had the quality of a major stakes race, and he won that race. He's got credentials, no doubt about it. 2nd in the Tampa Bay Derby and won the Sam Davis before that. Never been worse than 3rd. But I always say this every year. You can't pick everybody. I'm surprised nobody has picked him, though, because he is a quality horse.
Paul, if this were a normal summer, one of the teams that would be getting the summertime love from the magazines and prognosticators and predictions for the year, it'd be Scott Satterfield's second version of the Louisville Cardinals. If we have football, Louisville could be a team that makes a lot of noise.
They're showing up in some of the early top 25s, and they were just so good and such a pleasant surprise last year that I think people are assuming they can follow that up, and I think they can. He just did a magnificent job last year, inheriting a bunch of wayward souls and getting them straight mentally and getting them to play hard and play together. They had a really leaky defense, but they scrapped and clawed. And a big key, well, there's two big keys. One is they've got their key offensive weapons back, and they were very good offensively. And while they did have some problems defensively, they have a good number of those guys back. And I don't think you can overstate how important this is. This will be the first time in 5 years that these players have had the same defensive coordinator 2 years in a row. They changed defensive coordinators every year under Petrino. And then, of course, Satterfield came in and brought his staff. Now his staff is still together, so there'll be a lot more familiarity as the guys get ready for the season. So I think they could be the second-best team behind Clemson in the conference.
Wow. So Brett just asked you if you'll be on next May at Churchill Downs. I'm going to ask you, will you be this September 5th in a press box doing a football game?
Well, I think I will be in the press box doing a football game. The Derby is the 5th. The football game is Thursday the 3rd, and that was scheduled way back when. Before we even had COVID, Louisville was going to be. Every year you have a number of teams open up on that Thursday of Labor Day weekend, and Louisville was on that. In fact, they were actually thinking of moving it to Wednesday because Thursday of Derby week is a pretty big day at the track. And as you guys may be aware, Churchill Downs and Cardinal Stadium are virtually right next door to each other, and they kind of share parking sometimes. And they're looking to maybe move the football game back to Wednesday to avoid a little bit of that conflict. But at any rate, fortunately for me, my issue is resolved there. I don't have a direct conflict between the two. If we do indeed start football on time, which I'm still not convinced we will, but I'm more hopeful of that happening now than I was the last time I talked to you guys.
I guess I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. As I look realistically, though, and everywhere you look, we're finding cases, and we saw NFL players when they first got called back getting it. We saw Texas players 2 days ago after they'd been back getting more, and a significant number, and more tests that are coming. So I just don't really know. I mean, we all want it. We all wish for it. That doesn't mean we can wish COVID-19 away.
I was actually driving today. We went over to visit some friends in another part of the state, so I don't know the details, but I understand a PGA Tour player tested positive today.
Nick Watney did, and I just with Drew's help here, I did a little bit of a quick test. Nick Watney played last week because these guys are affected. He played with John Senden and Eric Van Rooyen. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know who Eric Van Rooyen is.
Well, they'll be checking them out.
Sure they will. And then now today, and I looked to see Luke List played, but he played with Luke List and Vaughn Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke List has made the cut. Now, I don't think Luke List would be allowed to play until he's tested, wouldn't he? Or Vaughn Taylor, for that matter.
And scoreboard operators and caddies and everything that's, with the tracing, everything in his realm. Paul, I hope we have a season, and I hope they move y'all to Wednesday night, because I don't see how in the world we're going to have any of those August 29th games. Y'all very well on Wednesday night would be the first game of the college football season against NC State, and a big game.
Yeah, it would be it would be a spotlight game, certainly. I think a lot of people would be watching that for a number of reasons. A, just to watch a football game, and B, just to kind of get a feel for things. How many people will be in the stands? How will they conduct business? How will the operation work? They could be one of the early test cases to see how to do it.
Have they talked at all about how many they would have in stadium? What capacity, what percentage, and what?
Not specifically, but they've talked generally about somewhere in the neighborhood of a third capacity, which would be maybe in the 20,000 range. And you can seat 20,000 people in a 60,000 stadium and space them out. But you got to get them in, you got to get them out, you got to get them to the concession stands, you got to get them to the restrooms.
You got to see how they feel in 2 weeks.
Could you see? Could you see this? I'm just thinking out loud here, and I'm sure athletic directors around the country are thinking about this, where you're not going to be allowed to tailgate, but if you want to come to the game, and Memphis has already said the only people that will be coming will be season ticket holders. I don't believe Tiger Lane will be open, and the way they'll do this, or could do this, would be you would have a time that you are to show up to go into the stadium, and there would be no concessions.
Yeah, to stagger the arrivals and not have the concessions, because you go to golf courses now and a lot of them don't have the water stands, refreshment stands, and that kind of thing. I don't know how you could have concession stands and keep people apart. To just it would you can have the marking 6 feet apart, but I just think it's going to be hard to do that.
Well, you can bring your own.
Yeah, maybe
you'd be allowed to bring your own food and beverage, and that would have to be a concession that they would give up in order to get you to come and into the ball game.
That'd be back to the showboats days where you could bring your own.
Well,
and I know how that got.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to do that back then.
No, they didn't mind. They didn't mind on some games.
Another crimp in the revenue too, because now you don't get concession revenue.
Sure. It is. In the case of the University of Memphis, though, I don't believe it would be, because I think it's the city of Memphis that gets the concessions from those games. What about the Yum Center? We've had doctors on this show say, I'm okay with outdoor venues. I'm not sure about a basketball game inside. So that affects, obviously, the Grizzlies as well as the Memphis Tigers. What have you heard about the Yum Center, if anything?
There's been so much concentration now on trying to get football going. I'm sure they've looked into it, but I haven't heard a lot of comments about it. But I'm with you 100% there in terms of indoors versus outdoors. I'm just not comfortable going indoors to restaurants right now. I may sit at a patio table if there's not many other people around.
Aha! That is exactly what Dave Woloshin did today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have yet to go inside to a restaurant, and I promised my wife that I would not, and
he
I
kept
lived
his
up to
promise.
that. Yeah.
We were outside, very, very distant. Paul, if that's the case, this is a little bit wacky idea for me. I referenced it the other day about the Tigers here in Memphis. All right, if we're going to have limited, and if you went to a smaller stadium, you would have limited there too. But for like college basketball, the Memphis Tigers with that very expensive rent contract with the Grizzlies, if you can't have any fans, why wouldn't they just play this season at the El Marone at the gym on campus if you're not going to have any fans there? And you could get the TV cameras there to make it work enough sufficiently for the TV contractual obligations, and try to take a haircut on that on some big rental agreements and just turning on lights like at the Yum Center.
Well, now that's an interesting proposition. It makes some sense, although I don't know. As a tenant, let's say, can the University of Louisville say we're not going to be in the Yum Center this year? They may be obligated. I don't know the specifics of that, but that's a great point.
Well, we have so many contractual loopholes now, and we've all learned the definition of force majeure this year. And I just think if somebody said, look, we're hurting already enough. It's expensive for us to have the staff and everybody there. Let's just play it here at Cozy on-campus practice facility, and we can get your TV cameras working.
Yeah, I mean that's an idea. They play a lot of teams. Louisville played one last year. Play one of those preseason scrimmages where it's against another school. It's just a scrimmage, but they played it in the practice gym, and they all talked about how odd it was to really be playing a serious game, but with no fans there. of course, that was something we all were looking at hypothetically at conference tournament time when there was for a while we thought they were going to play the games with no fans. But yeah, if you can't have fans, why waste time, all that time and space and rent money?
I have no idea. I think it's fluid is the best word that I can use. Yeah. It's all going to change from day to day, week to week. I sit here wondering, Memphis is supposed to go to the Bahamas. There's an unbelievable field being played at Atlantis, and I would be shocked if those games come off.
Yeah, we were there the same year one year, weren't we?
We were.
I love that tournament. I think that's a fabulous tournament.
It is.
And I'm hoping that Louisville goes back there sometime soon. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't really see that being played. Although I guess they could go to the ballroom and play at an empty arena.
I guess. What about Maui? What will happen with that? Are all these
that
things
little
going to be played?
bandbox at Maui?
Well, that's clearly going to have to be
somebody's had to catch something there through the years. Might need to wear a face mask there every year.
That'll be an ESPN program, a studio program. That's not going to be fans in that place. There's no way to socially. You get social distance, you'd probably have 100 people in the gym, maybe.
And then you got the travel. We were actually scheduled to go visit a friend in Montana next month, and I think I could be in Montana and be comfortable, but I can't get to Montana in any comfortable way. I don't want to sit on an airplane for 4 or 5 hours. I don't want to drive and stop in hotels. If you're a basketball team going to Maui and you can't afford a charter, you're going to want to take commercial flights that far.
All that recirculated air? No.
I think most of those teams all take charters now. But in this day and age, when the revenue's not what you think it's going to be and we don't have crowds, who could afford that? You're right. Paul,
right.
We will talk to you
again.
We
have answered no questions today. We have certainly raised a lot of questions.
Sure.
We got a lot of questions, Paul.
Welcome to this era. That is the way it is. We'll talk to you before the next Triple Crown race. Just so I know, you've got a Tis the Law, Tap It to Win It, Max Player, Modernist, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
That is good. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.
That is Paul Rogers, our title sponsor for this hour of the program's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, and then there's Genesis of Olive Branch. Same building, getting bigger, by the way. Great products, great technology. Those Hyundais, those Genesis cars, they take it up a notch. So good, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every car. That is confidence in your product, and it is. And the great strides in safety, the great strides in performance, those G cars, oh my gosh. I got a G70, fastest car I've ever had. It handles like it's a race car. It is just fun. And I like to say Chris True and all the gang, and they've been together for years and years and years, they always think of ways to make it palpable for you to afford a car. Right now they got 0% financing on a Hyundai or a Genesis for 84 months, 0% for 84 months. And on some select models, you don't have to make a payment for 120 days. Some are 90 days, depending on the deal. You'll find out when you go there. Just talk. They're very transparent with their pricing and with the way they're going to do things. 120 days, that's 4 months. If you are just getting back to work, a little short on cash now, but in 4 months you're good, you can have your car today. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We take the time out. When we come back, we will talk the business of sports with our Harvard professor, and from the NBC family of stations, that would be Rick Horrow, and he is next.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hurts. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
For the ones we trust to always be there. For the ones caring for others. For the ones who keep things going, no matter where they are. In extraordinary times, extraordinary people step up, like the ones standing guard and standing on the front lines, and the ones who are staying apart while still working together. With your efforts, we will get through this. We're grateful for all you do. Visit Grainger.com for resources that can help as you create your recovery plan. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Carl on his motorcycle.
Let's ride till we run out of gas.
And this is Carl off his motorcycle.
Balsa wood is very different than teak. People confuse the two.
On his motorcycle.
Hey, check out that view!
Off his motorcycle.
Let's do puzzles in the break room.
On.
Look at all that open road!
Off.
Look how long my fingernails are getting.
You're better on your bike. Progressive helps keep you on it. Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Oh, my stomach.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Try new Pepto-Bismol chews. The same fast relief of Pepto-Bismol, now in a delightful chew.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Will we play? Probably. I think it's looking like there'll be some sort of activity going on. Will there be fans? Maybe to a degree. Well, the full fans, no, I don't believe so. But on top of all that, Gabe, we're trying to work everything else out.
Yep.
You have controversies on the side. You've had Mike Gundy. That thing continues to just kind of roll on. And I don't know. A
lot of people want him out, man. That's just how that's going to work until we get to just from the outside looking in. It's one of those situations where he has had a lot of these things happen in the past, and I watched even Paul Feinbaum talk about it. It's just he has embarrassed Oklahoma State several times and has not paid any repercussions for them. And not to mention, he's been a good coach. He hadn't been an overly great coach. He's 2-13 against the in-state rival. I think people are tired of that too. But overall, I think eventually this is going to be something that might force him out.
I mean, the other thing is T. Boone Pickens has passed away. So, I don't know what the influence of, the power structure is. I know they had their friction. But, anytime there's this longstanding thing, you go back to the Alfred Williams allegations and the fact that, at the time there were contemporaneous, corroborations of the story. And weeks later, there were still people saying, in 1989, like this guy said, there was one player who said that he said the N-word multiple occasions on the field, said he never heard anything quite like it. And then that just sort of, went away. I think there were only four black players on Oklahoma State's starting group in that year, which is in 1989, which obviously is quite a bit different now.
And obviously, 19-year-old Mike Gundy is going to deny that.
Yes,
completely.
Yes, completely. As any.
And now, I think, however old he is now, 40,
51, I believe.
50. Really, he's 50.
So, yeah.
With a mullet at 50. That is not common anymore.
Not
common at all. But 50-year-old Mike Gundy's going to deny it even more. This is something that just resurfaced. Obviously, it's not like it's known. It's a known thing. And the one thing that I will say about the whole Alfred Williams situation is it would be a very, very bizarre thing to lie about in that situation.
Well, yeah. I mean, it would be a bizarre thing to lie about. It would be a bizarre thing to still be lying about 30 years later. It doesn't make any sense for him to do it. There's no reason for him to do it. He's had his own career. He's a college football Hall of Famer. He was an NFL. He's a Pro Bowler. He won a Super Bowl. He's had a illustrious career of his own. He has no reason to worry about Mike Gundy one way or the other than just in this discussion. And when Gundy's had this previous history, and then that to me adds a different context to the shirt and to what the shirt and what the network stands for and what they feel, how they feel about black people and Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. That adds a whole different context to it. I mean, I find it hard to believe you would just be dumbfounded if he's already admitted months ago that he watches the thing.
Yeah.
So the shirt is not like it just came out of nowhere.
And not to mention he caught flack then for it.
Well, yeah, but it was more like goofy flack as opposed to like racial like.
You're like how does he actually believe that that's
right?
unbiased?
No one took that to that next level of okay, does he share the same belief about Black Lives Matter? Does he share the same belief? All that people weren't taking it to that. Now you go back and explore those situations. It is hard to imagine that he's standing on firm ground in that locker room with all those guys. That seems unusual. Then you take the next step, and Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, has threatened. There was a statement yesterday, threatened not to host any future conference championship events of any kind in the state of Mississippi until the state changes its flag. It is the only state that still has the Confederate battle flag symbol as part of its flag. That is the symbol that is the most known to be problematic, although there are other Confederate symbols that are on other flags in the South that have been modified slightly and do not draw as much obvious immediate attention as the Confederate battle flag. But the one in Mississippi, now it's not as if Mississippi is hosting tons and tons of championship events. They haven't had one in 4 years. But this is another example. There are students, athletes at Ole Miss, Mississippi State, other schools that are making this push to the legislature in Mississippi. I know Ole Miss, as I think, would like to see this happen from a university standpoint. I would presume Mississippi State as well. Mike Leach had a tweet last night that made no sense at all. Just a word salad. I represent people. I want people to talk or something. It was nonsense. Does this push it over the edge, Gabe? Does this make the change?
Well, judging by the fact the SEC, Mississippi State, and Mississippi all have said, hey, we need to change this. This is something that needs to change. But I think this is something that could push it over the edge and get it changed, because you look at, Georgia in 2001 had the same thing going on. But they switched it basically to another symbol.
Right. They switched it to another variant of the actual Confederate.
So I think there's
flag.
other things. Yeah. It's not just Mississippi, right, as far as flags go.
Right.
I think that's an interesting point to be made here. Do I think that it's going to have to change for just Mississippi as a state and their colleges in their state to move on from this? Like, they have to change the flag to be able to move on. And I think that's going to happen. But we also need to hold other people accountable as well.
Agreed. But in particular, I think it would be foolish not to note the extremely obvious divisiveness from that particular symbol. There are other symbols. There are other issues. Obviously, we've seen across the entire South and really the country, people like various Civil War figures, various figures in the Confederacy. Any statues like that are being taken down or being protested. Christopher Columbus and the atrocities that he was part of. That's now he's being taken down in certain areas, and so that's the climate. But that particular stars and bars
it's known.
It's
known.
known. Yeah,
and I think that's another thing you see on Twitter. A lot of people sort of talking about the Georgia State flag and asking people why aren't they holding that account, because people aren't as educated on that variant of the Confederate flag. So obviously you need to get the stars and bars thing out of here before we move on to that. That's just sort of
I think that, again, people adopt the symbolism that they want to adopt, and they warp it into whatever it is that they want to warp it into. I think that is a thinly veiled, kind of nod to the Confederacy, what Georgia did in 2001 to change its flag. There are a few. Again, there are other examples of that throughout the South, but they don't evoke the same kind of clinging to the symbol. They don't evoke the same kind of reaction, and that's part of it. I mean, that's part of it. And I think if you want to have the address of, we want to go after all these things, down to the very root of it, then I think I welcome that discussion. I think it'd be a great discussion to have. But in particular, we're talking about the symbolism that people embrace here, in the same way that we talked about with the swastika. Swastika used to be, prior to the early 20th century, swastika was just was another symbol. It was used in In Indian lore, in Japanese lore, it was a symbol of all kinds of different things. It didn't necessarily have any kind of specific symbol meaning. Well, guess what? That's changed. Now it has a very specific and very obvious. And if you want to walk around and say, well, no, actually, I'm referring to it back in the Japanese usage back in the 18th century. No, that ain't gonna work. That the symbol means something much more. And this symbol, no matter how you want to try to justify it, no matter how you want to try to bend it and manipulate it or whatever, it is unbelievably divisive. It is actively anti-black people. It is a message to black people in your state that you do not care about their feelings and how they were treated and what happened. You don't care, and it doesn't matter.
And you hide behind this sort of curtain of, oh, well, it's our history. We need to remember our history so we don't repeat it. No, there's a difference between remembering your history and celebrating your history.
Correct.
What you do every day by flying a flag like that is celebrate that history, and you don't find other countries celebrating such atrocities to citizens in their country. It just does not happen. So I think there needs to be a understanding, and for some people it won't come just truthfully in their lifetime, but we need to keep speaking out on these things to make sure that at some point we get there. At some point. Is that in our lifetimes? I don't know.
I think the Mississippi flag can be changed in our lifetimes for sure.
Yeah,
I think that
absolutely.
can be changed like now. I mean, that can be changed this year. That should be done already.
But I'm talking about the people that will cling on to the history and the symbolism of that flag. That's going to take a long time to
No, it's generational.
root out.
It's generational, man. It's generational. It's just, but that's the fight that you have to continue to speak up on this stuff, and you have to continue and not to settle for whatever, not to let people hide behind that kind of a discussion, because that's not. If you want to celebrate your history, that is very important to do. You can do that in museums. You can do that in academic environments. You can discuss these sorts of things. You want to remember what happened. You want to make note of it. Absolutely, there are plenty of places of learning and plenty of historical documentation of all the atrocities and various things that have happened in the world, good and bad. And that is important to remember and learn and grow from those
Remember,
things.
though.
No one is saying to wipe history away. No one is going to, I don't think, Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong, no one is going to, statue to statue downtown in various towns across the country to learn history. Statues are a different thing. Flags are a different thing. No one is saying, wow, I had no idea about the history until I looked at that flag. No, you learn history via history classes, via just talking to people, via reading books. And those symbols can all remain in those books and in those classes. But when it comes to flying them and when it comes to putting statues up, that's a different level.
When it comes to celebrating said history, that needs to be rooted out.
That's your public face of what you are trying to send the message to people. And what message are you sending when you fly a variant of the Confederate battle flag, or when you put a statue up of Nathan Bedford Forrest or Robert E. Lee or whatever? What message are you sending in particular to black people? I mean, come on.
And I think those people, at least at the very least, subconsciously know exactly what they're flying when they fly said flag. They know exactly. Even they can argue, oh, we're remembering history, we're dealing with our history, where my ancestors have been, but at the same time, they know exactly the symbolism that they're putting out.
If NASCAR can ban the Confederate flag, Mississippi can do the same thing. Come on, let's go. It's long past time. Jeez.
Yes.
When we come back, we'll talk about our buddy Adam Kramer. You got your hair cut, Kramer?
Yeah, I did. It was that was an experience. I'm a hat wearer by nature, right? Like I wear hats. I don't think I've worn a hat since. Like it's like my pride and hope, and it's starting to get like a little long again now too. Not terribly long, obviously, but like I'm thinking about it. Like all of a sudden now I'm a haircut guy. That's
me and Zach are holding out. Me and Zach are holding out. No haircuts for us as of yet. My hair is insane at this point. It's just ludicrous.
It was with the online check-in. I remember trying to get it like those first few days, and it was like, every time you'd look, it was like 180 minutes, like just minimum, right? To do. And I lucked into like a quick one, and in and out. Like the experience wasn't too bad, but yeah, you're going the other side in terms of pride. Right now, you're committed. Like you're there.
Well, that's what I say. If you see the Twitter profile picture, that's a good reflection of where my hair is right now. It's maybe even a touch bigger than that picture. So if you want to see it, it's. I
think you should get some touch of gray, get the full skunk stripe.
I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it. I'm not doing any dyeing of the hair. It's whatever's happening is happening. I'm not fighting it. It's just it's gone. It's been going great for like 15 years now.
I don't want you to fight it. I want you to add more.
No. I'm not going to be like Elvira.
Lean into it.
I'm not going to be Elvira, for God's sake. What are you talking? It's not Halloween. Jeez Louise. No, we're not doing
little Cruella de Vil.
You're not doing Cruella
action.
de Vil. We're not doing what's her face, the Addams Family, Wednesday or Morticia. We're not doing any of that stuff. My other question is we've talked about this before, the difference between white barbershops and black barbershops. And I feel like it's easier at white barbershops to do more of a social distance situation, more of a because I think there's more camaraderie and more discussion that happens at the black barbershop. So I think there's maybe, I don't know if I'd have to get more correspondence on that, but I think that may be a concern. Is that a concern, Zach? Am I right in saying this might be more of a concern?
For what?
Social distancing, maintaining, because there's tend to be more congregation, more discussion, more collaboration going on.
Yeah, so the barbershop is like the staple for holding any type of conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Like any conversation that you want to have, you have it at the barbershop. So
how can you do that? It's difficult.
I know, I don't know. You just have a loudspeaker. I don't know. It's like, yeah, did you see LeBron today? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure how that's gonna work.
I'd love to see that. That's just everyone in each individual barbershop down there. Yeah, you suck. Yeah. That's great because it's totally different. We've talked about that before. It's a totally different experience at the two haircut situations. Now, speaking of racial reconciliation or lack thereof, Adam, Mike Gundy. What's happening here? What in the world?
Man, what a week. By the way, if you're Iowa, who fired a strength coach, right? Like 5 hours earlier.
Yep.
That thing just went away.
Yep.
Like, this is it. You handed off the baton. So, all right. I don't know where. Let me start here. I did a story. I spent some time with Chuba Hubbard last year. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think to really understand this specific situation, you got to understand this kid is comes from Canada, comes from not much. Right. In fact, is setting up like a nonprofit. And this was a big part of the story. And I was floored by this. Breaks out in a year, setting up a nonprofit basically for underprivileged kids. Okay. So even at the time before this happens, you can see the wheels spinning, right? He wants to help people. He wants to be, and granted, this had nothing to do with race. This is a kid who had some pretty difficult situations growing up that, wanted to help some people. And I remember thinking to them, wow, I mean, this isn't a guy that we've been talking about for 3-4 years. It's a guy that kind of just burst onto the scene in 3 months and decided I'm going to use my platform for good. So a little backdrop there. This is it wasn't necessarily a surprise when he spoke out because you could hear it in his voice that he wanted to do something with this. This is Mike Gundy. Okay. This is who Mike Gundy is. He has forever kind of skirted on these very uncomfortable lines, not this uncomfortable, although I did see there's the question back in 1989, if he used a racial term, but Mike Gundy has always naturally found this controversy, discomfort, whether it's his job, whether it's something he says, but this is a new level. To not have this is where it stems from. Just simply saying, to wear a T-shirt like this, if it is truly just the T-shirt, which it is not, by the way, when you feel what former players are alleging, this is beyond just the T-shirt. Maybe that's the really kind of frustrating part in here because we don't have any sort of clue into what exactly they're saying. We know they're unhappy and problems, etc., but we know what they're saying. But to wear a T-shirt like this and not acknowledge what the issue is, or I mean, that's the best case scenario, to not know that, hey, these people, this brand I'm wearing have said some pretty awful things. That's bad. But can we believe that? Should we believe that? Again, that's the best case scenario, and I don't really find it. Yeah, that doesn't suit me. I don't think it should suit anybody. So I'm it's frustrating here. And I'll say this also. I've talked to Mike Gundy a bunch of times. When I talk, I generally like talking to the guy. Like, I think he's insightful. I think he's done a good job. I think he cares about his players, or at least has shown me that he has to a degree. But there's always been this piece of him that just feels like you can't quite understand, you can't quite, establish. And this is, man, it's been a week. I mean, everybody. The other thing, how many apologies are we on now? The one that he read off the script
3,
was,
I believe, maybe 4.
The teleprompter one was.
Yeah,
that was awful.
That was not fun for. I watched the whole thing, and people giving him credit for it.
I know.
I guess you can say the right things, yes, but the way you say it and the way I can literally see your eyes moving across a screen while you're doing it. It does not send the right
It's
message.
like a hostage video.
I had the same thought because people are like, "Now this is an apology." I'm like, "He is being held hostage
what are
here."
you talking about?
Not to mention, I wonder who did Chuba write that for him?
Yeah, I didn't understand that too. I thought the words were fine, and I think he said some things. I mean, again, like all of this will be in the actions, but it felt scripted. It felt weird, and then you got to go back at it again. And again, it's getting back where I first was. Remember Iowa? That feels like it was 2 years ago, right? I mean, seriously, like this is how quickly this stuff is moving.
Well, it's I totally agree with you as far as the apology goes. It's very implausible to me that he wouldn't know the deeper situation, that he wouldn't have any idea what was going on. The fact that people let him skirt, we give these guys tremendous benefit of the doubt as far as all this stuff goes. The issue that I have. We use the term like, he cares about his players. And like, I think that probably like to some degree he does. And the same stuff with Dabo and these other guys, Mike Leach, who've had other types. Like caring about your players is one thing. Caring about them to the extent that they are beneficial to you, caring about them to the extent that they're beneficial to the team, all that stuff is cool. But at some point, Adam, to me, if you don't start addressing this stuff, start addressing, taking an active and a proactive approach in rooting out these areas of racial conflict in your life. If you are consistently dealing with young black men and you don't do that, I don't think you can say with a straight face that you really care about them, because you're not really getting to the heart of what's going on. You can't have this double life of, okay, when I'm here at the locker room, I'm one of the guys and I'm with these fellas and hey, it's cool. But when I go home, I'm watching OAN and I'm in these Facebook groups and I'm talking about how much I hate this and that. And you can't, that may have worked, years ago. That ain't going to work now.
And for years, we've kind of alluded to this the last few weeks. That's the line for coaches, grooming these young men.
Right.
You can't say that. And now it's got to be different. Like it has to feel different than it is. But the part, again, I think too, it's not just a T-shirt. When you look at some of the former players that starred there saying, and I don't want to butcher the context of this because it's really important stuff, alluding to the fact that this is a trend, right? Mm-hmm. That this is the
similar
latest
to the Kirk
trend.
Ferentz kind of thing, like where there's
exactly
just a lot
enough
of,
is enough,
yeah,
right? Like, and that's the part that he sort of has just kind of danced around, I think, and probably understandably so, because I don't think there's going to be a ton of answers there. But no, I'm with you. I hope this is an awakening more than anything. Like, I guess the thing you hope from this, and we talked about it with Florida State and with Iowa, now here, this is 3 football programs that you hope that this disruption, and this is a good disruption, is going to lead to positive change. If it doesn't, that's a problem. But you've got 3 football programs, and maybe more than that, who knows? This is just externally what we're seeing and what we're hearing, that have been in this spotlight and have kind of vowed to change. I hope that's a positive. It's a shame that we have to be here talking about change, but I hope if there's any takeaway from this, that players can and will speak up. That's the other thing. I know Chuba, apologized, and I felt that, again, that was a little bit uncomfortable as well, seeing the African-American player apologize and the coach kind of sort of naturally PR his way around actually saying those words. Yeah, it was uncomfortable. But the power of the player, man, you take maybe the best running back in the country, and he says, you know what, I'm not playing. And holy cow, world springs start falling out of the machine, world stops, explosions happen, right? That was just like a couple hours. Imagine somebody doing that before a game. Imagine something doing that before fall practice, right? I think.
Look at what happened with Missouri a few years ago.
Exactly. I just think in general, and I know we've got a specific focus, and these players are working on, one thing right now, but realizing just how much power they have, especially a guy like this, it's pretty remarkable. I think that's something that's going to carry over, I hope, here in the years ahead.
I just find it bizarre that people who are sort of protecting Mike Gundy at this point, which is very few, I will say, are trying to act like this is one of the first times he's done this. And I think there's been this thing in college football where you try to protect the coach from saying things that might upset these big donors. But I thought yesterday, did you see the comment from Texas linebacker Juwan Mitchell on Twitter?
I did not.
He said he made a comment saying people who want to create change don't care about how much money can be lost, don't care about who hates them or any bad outcomes that may happen. The only thing on your mind should be equality. And I think this is just like that's one of the things with college football that we've seen for so long is you try to these coaches try to tread so lightly, especially in these matters of social justice and Black Lives Matter, because they don't want to upset the big donors that are donating to them. And I think that's something that we need to try and root out of college football sooner than later.
Well, there's also this component. You're absolutely right. Money is the backdrop of all of this. I mean, donors is a huge part of it. And then the other part, obviously, is the fact that, these players, Chuba is not being paid, right? So you've got this system that is fragile to begin with. Yep. I think that's putting it mildly, right?
Yes.
A system that is on the verge of toppling over, quite honestly. And then you inject these issues to it, and forever there has been the donors move this thing. They'll decide who the coach is. They'll pay that coach's buyout if they don't want him there. Like that, there's a lot of behind-the-curtain stuff that we don't necessarily talk about, but those people with money have influence. The coaches, Mike Gundy, who makes what? I mean, gosh, he gets a contract extension and a raise every 2 years when he flirts with leaving.
He has a floating 5-year deal. Every year it just rolls over to 5 years.
How about Kirk? Every time he wins 7 games, he gets a 1-year extension.
So you've got 4 or 5, 6. Gundy, I think upwards of like $6 million, right? And then the players who are making nothing. Well, that's up for debate, I guess, right? We won't go there.
Not supposed to be.
The debates. So I think that's a big part of it too. It's not like the NFL, right? The NFL's got its own quote unquote issues where you're wondering, are the ratings going to go down if players kneel again, right? As ridiculous as that sounds now, this is the real foundation of your sport. It is built on some people having a ton of money and a huge, huge portion of your people, the people that actually make this thing happen, having nothing. That's that is a big part of this as well.
Well, and what's amplifying that discrepancy even more, Adam, is the fact that as these guys come back to campus, we are seeing. We talked about 13 Texas players testing positive for COVID-19. Another 10 are under some sort of a quarantine situation right now. You had 8 at K-State. You had 6 at Houston. They shut the whole thing down. You have a couple at Washington coming in, or a couple at Michigan. Excuse me. Washington had 0, which is good for them. But everywhere you go, it seems like you're getting more and more of this, and it's going to continue. And as players return, they are asked to sign some sort of a waiver in most places. Ohio State had their waiver. Tennessee has got one out there. Most schools are going to have one. So to me, this is what is going to end up toppling this whole thing eventually is how can you ask these players whom you are not paying, and you've got this sort of perfunctory Marco Rubio name, image, likeness thing, which is just kind of, I think, a kind of a canard and a way to get more legislation and more jurisdictional control from NCAA over all this. How can you ask these guys to assume even more risk and even more danger while simultaneously not paying them and then potentially not listening to their concerns of concern about racial inequities and inequalities going on in their program? This can't last. It's not going to work.
No, actually, it made me think. I go into my office, right? I'm signing one of those.
Mm-hmm. But you're working. You're getting paid. You're an employee.
Exactly. And I get it. Like, you're going to have to. I'm assuming the liability. I'm signing my name here because if not, everybody's going to sue anybody, and it's probably going to happen anyways. But I'm getting paid for it. My risk. I know my risks, right? And you could argue the players do too, but it's just such a lopsided BS arrangement.
Exactly.
That's the problem. So there's all these, and this has been the case for years, right? We're going to say, well, you're a student athlete, but we're going to sell your jersey number in our store. You're a student athlete, but please sign this waiver saying you're not going to sue us and actually get the money you deserve out of us. Right. It's a very, very clear crossroads of where we stand. And you're right. You've got this name, image, and likeness stuff in Florida, California, everywhere else. But that's not really, that's tapping into the, sponsorship component and the ability to earn, capitalize on your public face, your positioning. It doesn't quite go fully there, does it?
No.
Because that's the sports saying, hey, don't sue us and do this for free. Do this for a scholarship. So I am, again, I love this, and I always will love it because there's nothing. Teeter. You've got all of these things going on, and they're all kind of coming together at a time when things were kind of coming together anyways, in terms of players really exercising their power and trying to capitalize on all this money being poured into the system. I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating. And by the way, getting back to the testing and the tests, this season's going to be a mess. Like, we should just all prepare ourselves for that now. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just think you see the reality of what teams are going to have to do. And the injury reports are going to look a lot different, right? They're not going to be injury reports anymore. You're going to have, large chunks of teams missing games. Now, the good thing for college football is you're getting these kids in early. They are testing. A lot of these kids are asymptomatic. Of course, they're some of the best athletes in the world, all of these things, and you're kind of learning how to manage this stuff. But I think ultimately, as we go down here, having to run a season, look at that NBA report, that 113-page monstrosity. It's going to be really, really difficult.
And each one, it's hard to. Each one of these schools has their own little thing and all. It's just going to be
85 scholarship players.
Good luck.
It's crazy. So a couple quick things real fast, Adam, before we go. Big week for Memphis, opening the new indoor practice facility, and then in recruiting, just killing it. Ryan Silverfield flipped a kid from LSU to Memphis, got a couple more big 3-stars in. One of the best recruiting jobs. He just seems to continue the momentum from Mike Norvell. It's a big week for the University of Memphis program.
The program, having a facility like that changes your whole outcome. That is, you talk to kids that is that's where they spend that's their lives, right? Again, we're talking about player power, but that's where they spend their lives. And also, this is a program now that is in the spotlight. Maybe not to an LSU, but is in the spotlight. And, oh, by the way, you may be able to play earlier. So you add a facility like this, like just a ton of upward momentum. So even though you go through coaches and you go through another one, I mean, you expect the quality of player will continue to increase in terms of recruiting. I mean, yeah, it's well deserved too. It's a program that certainly earned that right.
We're going to talk about that with Gabe here in just a little bit because Gabe was on the line for those mid 2010s Memphis teams. He was
for the build up.
That's right, for the build up. That's right. That's the Fuente / Norvell crossover time. And then last thing, give me just some brief thoughts on the Belk Bowl transitioning to the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Hellman's Mayo is better.
I mean,
Man,
Mayo is disaster. Mayo's awful. Don't even tell me.
I am also a Mayo is awful. That is my take. However,
sandwiches?
No.
However, I love a Mayo Bowl. Like I love a Mayo Bowl. I think this is absolutely the Belk Bowl just was a ridiculous name, right? Overall, generally ridiculous.
They leaned into the ridiculousness too, which I appreciated.
I mean, I don't know if it's as good or bad as I think a suburb here about 20 minutes from me just bought a bowl game.
Yes,
Elk Grove Village
yes,
bought a bowl game
that.
like that.
Yes.
That was great. So maybe it's not quite that far, but you've got like ACC, Big Ten, so you're going to have like a Pitt, Indiana, just like 10-7, like it's just the Mayo Bowl.
And
right?
you know what's
like
going to happen? We're going to bring in
Mayo Bowl.
Mark Mangino to hand out the trophy, the Mayo Trophy. We're going to we're going to dump mayo on the head of the winning coach. It's going to get a mayo bath. Right?
That's disgusting.
I mean, this was like I think we needed this news, man. Like you get me a ridiculous bowl game. It's like the most normal I've felt in a while, right? That's what we need a little bit more of, just to sprinkle in between everything else. The Mayo Bowl, I can't wait.
Well, I cannot wait. Hopefully it all goes off without a hitch. No one has to actually eat mayo because that stuff is filthy, disgusting. Adam, you're the best, buddy. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week, bud.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Adam Kramer joining us from Bleacher Report, lead college.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Was that good?
Yeah, sure.
A little bit scary.
That's fine.
Good. Okay,
that's fine.
All right. So we've covered all of those bases. Let's bring in our friend Kari Thompson. How are you, Kari?
What's up,
Kari?
What's up?
What's going on, Peter? Gabe?
What's going on,
man?
What's going on, man?
Man, nothing much. We had the sports awards last night, so we gave out some awards.
Did you win anything?
Nope.
Oh, come
First
on,
team all
Kari.
Memphis
Ah.
Were you up for anything?
But here's my victory. I haven't had too many complaints. That's my victory.
Okay.
Not many angry parents calling me. And there's always going to be some, but people cool. Don't let me jinx it.
There's a definition of too many complaints. So you've had complaints, but just not too many.
Right.
You're always going to have complaints. That's just the nature of preps is that parents are not happy with some sort of coverage. It's either you're not enough or too much or something else going on or whatever. There's always something. So I remember that very well. So you just have to kind of Gabe, I
would never complain.
Gabe, you'll hear that soon enough when
Oh,
no,
Gabe,
I hear complaints. I hear complaints.
Yeah.
I hear
Gabe,
complaints.
when you have kids, bro, you're gonna change, man. You're gonna be like my Gabe Jr. should have been a lineman of the year.
Well, hey, Gabe Jr. will be lineman of the year. How about that?
Oh,
how about that? Hey, calling it out right now on this 19th day of June, 2020.
Is it going to be Gabe Kuhn the second or Gabe Kuhn Jr. or what are we going to do here?
Okay, hold up. No, I'm not I did just speak wrong. I'm not going to have a junior. It'll be a different name.
Oh, all right.
It'll be a different name.
I mean, it's fine. No one's knocking it.
I respect that. Every man needs his own name.
That's fine. Lincoln Perry won the football award. I guess no real surprise there. Although there was some pretty stiff competition, but a spectacular year for the young man from Houston.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Looking forward to seeing him at the next level. Because Arkansas State got all those games set up with Memphis, Liberty Ball. So we haven't seen the last of Lincoln Perry either.
A little local, little rivalry. Love to see the kids coming back to Memphis to see. And I think he was a kid that was somewhat controversial, Kari, in the recruitment process and all that stuff. But I don't know, man. You watch him play. The kid can just play. I'm not the size stuff or whatever, man. That kid is just good, man. I don't know. I feel like sometimes we get too hung up on all that, and this kid's a player.
I mean, when you say size, I mean, people are talking about he's short. That's really what it is. But does that matter for a running back? We live in a time where we got, the Darren Sproles of the world. You know what I'm saying? You could be a short running back, no question.
And he's strong. That's another thing that needs to be taken into consideration. Been working with Coach Shabazz for forever. So that's something that needs to be completely taken into consideration when you look at his perceived size. I mean, there's a lot of running backs that have been ultra productive at 5'8", 5'9".
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think it can be an advantage. I mean, you can be hard to find. You can slide in a little bit through some of the cracks and all that stuff. I mean,
crevices, cracks and crevices.
The crevices and the cracks, yeah, the nooks and the crannies. Absolutely. What's the speaking of football stuff? Gabe and I were talking about this during the break, but the summer, Kari, what is the protocol situation right now around the area? What's the plan as we know it? Because there are still obviously limitations on things that you can do in the way that these teams are able to get together for their summers.
Well, it's been it's just questions of when we're going to get fully back at it, because the private schools are back practicing.
Yeah.
The public schools are back practicing. And as you know, this is the last week before the dead period, so we're about to have 2 weeks of nobody practicing. Shelby County Schools has still not articulated what the plan is for them at all for public schools. Has said nothing. I mean, they said we have a task force and we're working on it, but I don't know.
Love a good task force.
Have any idea what phase it will take for the Shelby County Schools to get back to it? Or is there just absolutely nothing at this point? Gabe, literally, I emailed them. I emailed media relations. I was like, so, when can we expect a plan? We've got public schools practicing. We've got private schools practicing. We have Houston literally practicing while Germantown can't practice, even though they're in the same city. So I was like, so what's the plan, guys? They literally, one sentence emailed me back and go, we're working on it. Well, that's the definition of no plan, yes. Well,
I love a good task force. That's all. Anytime we can get a task force and some emails and get nothing done, that's exciting. That's always fantastic. So, congratulations, kudos to tip the cap. Now former Briarcrest player Kennedy Chandler taking home the award last night for boys basketball, and we'll kind of see what happens from there. Was there much debate over that one?
Yeah. I mean, that top three is very strong. I think in just about any other market, Jonathan Lawson or Musa Cisse could be your player of the year. Pretty much like anywhere else in the country. So it was tough for that top three. But I think if you just look at the body of work that Kennedy has put this year between Peach Jam and what he did and blowing up and literally going from a 0-star to a 5-star, what he did with Briarcrest taking them to the state title game was one missed shot at the end from winning a second straight title, getting that second straight Mr. Basketball, playing all the top competition and excelling. I think, and just when you look at the totality of his ranking and who's recruiting him, and the fact that the G League wants him, Coach K is after him. I mean, it's I just don't see a resume in Memphis high school sports this year, not just basketball, Memphis high school sports, because he was our boys' athlete of the year, that stacks up to what he's doing, other than maybe Rachel Heck. Rachel Heck's resume can stack up with what Kennedy. But other than that, on the boys' side, Kennedy kind of is in his own class at this point. And that's impressive because he's a junior.
Well, and now he's at a different school. So
yeah,
Sunrise Christian.
It's There you go. Hope you enjoyed it while you could. He also won Boys Athlete of the Year. Overall, Girls Athlete of the Year went to Rachel Heck, as you just mentioned, from St. Agnes. But how could it not? She is a spectacular golfer and the LPGA qualifying and U.S. Women's Open, all that. So I mean, my goodness, she's unbelievable. How good she could end up being. And then you
bro.
Yeah, I mean she's a pro for crying out loud. She was competing in France and all that. It's unreal. If you've never seen her or you never watched her, she's totally different level than everybody else. You mentioned his name. Where are we at on Musa? Your buddy.
I
know you guys are talking a lot. I know you guys are chatting a lot. I know he's definitely talking a lot.
Actually, I saw Musa not too long ago. Actually,
hey,
yeah.
Did you come up to him and did you give him come on? Did you guys have it out a little bit?
Nah, man, I dapped him up. It's all love, man. I was like, "What up, Musa?" I was like, "It's good to see you." He seemed happy to see me.
Were you at the? Was this at the over at the East, the John Morant and all that stuff? The
yeah, that's actually where I saw him. It was funny because I saw him as he came in. He was a couple minutes late, so he came in the middle of the scrimmage. I was like, "What up, Musa?"
Did he look surprised
Talk to him.
to see you?
He was like sitting down, putting on his shoes, trying to get ready. So I didn't bother him too much with recruiting questions, but caught up with him.
He didn't look surprised at all to see you.
Oh man!
No, man. No.
Okay.
I'm a regular on the scene, Gabe. Man.
No, I know that. I'm not. I get
But
that.
nah, I mean, Javante opened it up to the media. So I was there. Drew Hill was there. Cassie Carlson was there. And those hoop sessions are like incredible, and they do them like weekly. So can't give out the secret location, but I can say that it is awesome.
Oh, it was it was at Kari's house, is my understanding.
It's impressive.
Yeah, my apartment downtown. There we go.
I'm very impressed with the court.
It's very nice. So John Morant's still doing okay? Seems like he's all right.
Oh yeah, Jaws doing Jaws. I mean, even at 70%, like just jogging, man. I mean, just it's incredible. It's insane. We're also coming up on the 1 year anniversary of Ja being drafted to Memphis.
Yes, and
Evan Barnes.
What date are we looking at?
I believe it's Saturday.
Yeah, it was 21st or 20th or 21st. Yeah, so I remember last year. It was pretty extraordinary. And he's obviously exceeded the high expectations that people had for him. He's exceeded those expectations. Back to Musa for a second, and I know you didn't get a chance to chat with him to any length. Is it fair to interpret the increasing delay of his announcement as good news for Memphis? The longer it goes, the better it is for Memphis.
100%. That's what I think. That's what I've been saying. It was weird. There was a point where, like, a couple of weeks ago, all the experts just decided, oh, it's LSU.
Right.
Like, I think one of them, it was Corey Evans that had been saying LSU from the jump, but the rest of them, like the Evan Daniels and everybody, were like, it's LSU, and they all filed their picks in 1 week. So, in these recruiting situations, it's like if you know you're going to make a decision, why are you going to sit on it, right? Like, is that, Gabe? You've gone through the recruiting process, right?
Not quite his recruiting process. I'll tell you that. not quite to that extent, but yes, I have.
But so you can validate this. If you know where you're going to go, why would you put it off?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely,
absolutely. Is it a good thing for the leader if you're putting it off?
No. Well, I guess there's certain situations where guys want to do it very, very publicly and have a video made and, have graphics made and stuff like that. But with his, I am not sold that he's actually in a position where he knows yet. I think he's still sort of I think he's absolutely contemplating at this moment.
Yo, because he's choosing between two schools that are about to get investigated.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's the unfortunate way to look at it. But yes, that is true.
There's a lot of thought that's going to come into it. Like
Peter, this is real sports talk, man. Real sports talk.
I mean, we're keeping it real. You're exactly right about that. I mean, it's which level of allegations do you want? Do you want the traditional style, or do you want the new whatever that
the Adidas Nike FBI stuff?
Yeah, or do you want the new what's the
AARP?
Not, AARP. The AARP is not involved.
Hold up.
the old folks
Change
are not
that
retired.
first A to an I, and I think you got what you're looking for.
Yeah, the AARP, man. Wilford Brimley is heavily noted to be illegally. Yes, the IARP. Do you want that style, or do you want the traditional style? That's really your choice at this point. For
right.
Musa.
It's like hot wings with honey gold, man.
It's a little more. It's a little spicier at Memphis with that new thing with there's no appeal process. It's a little spicier now. So if you want it hot, if you like that thing hot like nuclear style, then I think you got to come to Memphis right here. I don't know, man. I don't know. So your gut's telling you Memphis, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's been telling me Memphis all along, but you know me. I'm not an insider. I'm not Jonathan Gavoni. You feel me? I'm not
Kari Express, though. We got to get Kari Express out there.
All aboard the Kari Express.
Yeah, you got to get your own YouTube channel. In addition to all the other stuff out there, you got to do it, man.
I'd follow that account.
Yeah, let's go.
Working on it.
Let's go. I'm just saying, Kari Express. Telling you.
I'm just saying.
Oh my
goodness. I'm just saying sports. Whoa.
I'm just saying sports.
I'm just saying, Musa, my crystal ball says Memphis. What? I'm just saying. Boom.
I'm just saying. Just composite.
Now, on the football side, we were just talking about this. Memphis in the new indoor practice facility. The recruiting, I mean, bringing in some 3-star kids, 4-star kid. I mean, like we're talking next level stuff. Ryan Silverfield not only not missing a beat, but just continuing to elevate the program. What's the word on the street from Kari Express on Memphis in the recruiting world?
Memphis is starting to get Memphis kids now too. They didn't get you before, but now they're starting. You see Brandon Warner at Ridgeway committing. You see Greg Rubin out of White Station committing. Last year it was just Devontae Nelson. So now we're starting to see not only you flipping the LSU kids, but you're starting to bring some of the local kids back. I think that's a good thing.
You think some of those bigger name local kids, the 4 stars and 5 stars of the world, maybe not 5 stars, but the 4 stars of the world may give him and Silverfield and Memphis like a look at this point? Because that's going to be the big, I feel like, barometer of, when they finally reach that peak of their recruiting, is if they can keep some of those, tremendous talents from in the city.
Yeah, well, we'll see how the season plays out, Gabe. But as it's looking right now, just off a rankings perspective, because obviously we haven't seen any football in a while, there's not too many 4 stars around here in this class. It's a bit of a down year if you look at the rankings. So that gives Silverfield some time actually to put in work with the young studs because they'll be around for a while, as long as they don't pull a Kennedy and go prep. Pull a Nolan.
It may happen. It may happen. So we anticipate. I mean, at this stage right now, everything is planning. I don't know. Is there any word on like school situation? Are we planning on the season starting as normal? Like, are you just going as if everything's going to be normal? There's been no word that anything would be different?
Sheesh, man, you gonna make me email the task force again, huh?
Well, you have such a good relationship with them. I want you to take advantage.
You're just gonna get a one line answer again.
Yeah, I need you to keep building that beautiful relationship y'all have.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I'll get 2 sentences. That'll be it.
Hi, Kari. I hope this finds you well. We have nothing to report. Thank you.
Or just CC Peter in the email.
Yeah, please. Yeah, throw me in. Do a little BCC on the on there. That'd be.
All right, guys. Peter really wants to know this. Peter wants to know when we're going back.
I got kids in school, first of all, so I definitely need to know. Second of all, I'm just curious. That's the way this thing works. So please go ahead and let me know. That's all. Help me out here, Corey. That's all. That's all I'm asking.
So we
for.
should not be standing by waiting for an announcement anytime
Hey,
soon on this.
Kari, when is your dumb sport of baseball going to figure this thing out? Y'all going to play or not? I mean, this is stupid.
Man, don't even get me started. It's just such a mess, man. It's just such a mess. But listen, here's while I'm mad about the mess that baseball is in,
Mm-hmm.
I'm low key psyched that the Red Sox drafted Blaze Jordan.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The kid's phenomenal.
Yeah, man. So he's gonna be, if he signs, he's gonna be working his way up towards Fenway, man. So had to let the people back in Boston know what he was all about. Had to post some highlight clips and all that.
He's really good, man. That kid can crush it.
Did you actually watch the MLB draft though? That's the real question.
I monitored it
from far away.
I love watching drafts.
MLB.com.
I love watching drafts, but the MLB drafts, I'm sorry, man.
No.
Rob Manfred stepping up to the microphone was something I could not will myself to do.
No.
It's an experience, though, if you watch. It depends on who you're with and what the circumstances is. Because I watched the draft with Maurice Hampton last year, and that was pretty cool. Just seeing him go through the motions of am I gonna go? Am I not gonna go? That sort of thing. And to just watch it all unfold in real time, you realize these are 17-year-old kids making multi-million-dollar decisions. You know what I'm saying? And in life-changing situations.
Well, if you're hanging out with one of them, sure, that's fine, no problem. You're hanging out with a player or something, cool. But otherwise, it's not. It's not.
If you're by yourself at home,
if you're by yourself, eating some wings and whatever, then
and ranch.
How you feel about mayo, Kari?
Mayo?
Yeah.
Give me context. I mean, we're not eating mayo
on a sub sandwich. Do you like
just
it?
in general? Do you like mayo on?
Do you
things?
like it as a condiment?
Yeah, on whatever you want to put it on.
I'm not saying you have to eat it straight with a spoon.
God,
that's the one
Okay.
thing. We don't have to do
good.
that.
What is wrong with?
Okay. I'm typically not a mayo guy,
Good.
but
Good.
in certain
Good answer.
situation it works. On a steak and cheese, it can work.
Oh, okay.
Normal
sub sandwich. Any love there? Burger.
Burger, definitely not. No.
Oh, y'all are missing out.
Wait.
Peter
Gabe,
said he doesn't even like
mayo on the
Alfredo. He
burger
doesn't like
now?
any white sauce.
I'm a sauce
No
racist.
white
I don't
condiment.
like white condiments.
Man, hold on. White cheddar sauce is amazing. You gotta
Not
put
even he
respect
doesn't
on
even like chicken Alfredo, Kari.
No,
we
no
have
Alfredo.
a long way to go with Peter.
No,
it's
Alfredo.
It's sad.
Alfredo's more peach colored, but still.
What? That's white. It's definitely white.
It's like a white. It's whiter. It's kind of an off white. It's not like pure white. Depends on what you're doing, I guess, with it.
Put some respect on Alfredo's name, man.
I'm not gonna do that. I don't respect Alfredo. I don't respect.
Wow.
I don't
It's
I don't
disappointing,
respect
Kari. I really
tartar sauce. I don't respect ranch. I don't respect
The ranch
mayo.
thing throws
I don't
me off,
respect
man.
any
Ranch
of
is
that. I don't
fantastic.
respect any white sauces. I don't respect.
You don't respect blue cheese?
Nope, don't respect blue
Oh,
cheese.
see, that's where I'm gonna have to disagree. Yeah, I think you're outnumbered on this one, Kari. I can't do the blue cheese.
No, I don't have no respect for it.
So what do you eat with wings?
I just eat wings. Or possibly dip it in additional hot sauce.
No
Hey.
sauce to cook it off?
No, because
Hey,
it's a
ask him-
hot wing. I like it hot. I like it hot.
Ask him what he puts on his salads.
Oh, he puts Frank's Red Hot.
That's
Oh,
exactly
okay,
right.
he knew.
Yeah,
He
he
knew.
knows. He
Okay.
knows.
That on everything.
Okay.
Yeah, he put that on everything. It says it on the label. It says it on the label. Put that's a true story. You got to put that on everything. And it's not just the slogan. That's the real deal. You got to put that on everything. It's delicious. Listen, you got to diversify. You got to get away from some of these sauces. We got to get out into the new. This is the new
I
paradigm.
think you need to
man.
open your mind a little bit.
There's a
Wait, Peter. So Peter, you gotta put me on some sauce game. You gotta give me 2 new sauces I need to try. When I'm in the
what kind of
store,
sriracha? Are you doing some sriracha here?
Oh, sriracha's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, sriracha's good stuff.
Okay, all right. Are we doing some hoisin?
No, what's poison?
Okay, all right. Well then we need
What
to
is
start.
it?
Hoisin's it's kind of a